G'day guys, E53 here. Welcome to another video, and this one's going to be a little bit different because this is about something which I've sort of skirted around in my time on sim racing, which is the actual sim racing gear that you use. Now, for a lot of people who sort of start out in I guess they start out in Sims as their kids, and then as they sort of grow up, they may continue on the Sims. They may move into doing real life cars as well. And for me, I kind of went the other way. Although I played a lot of racing games as a kid, sort of what you'd call racing sims from back then, Grand Prix 2, Grand Prix 3, Grand Prix 4, things like that. Those games were always being played with the keyboard. And I sort of, well, at least I was anyway, keyboard, mouse, joystick, that kind of thing. We didn't really have much in the way of good wheel setups when those games were new. So when I decided to go off and start doing real racing, and I've done a few things, done rallying, karts, hill climb circuit, loads of different things. And now, of course, have sort of come back towards what would be considered today to be proper sim racing, where it really models that driving experience really well. And one of the areas that I've always struggled with is the brakes. I just haven't been able to get, coming from real cars to a sim, I haven't really been able to get that real good brake feel that you get from a real brake pedal. And if we actually take a look at my pedals, you can probably understand why.
Alright, so these are my pedals. Very, very basic. Should be fairly well familiar to anybody who's started out in sim racing. Most people start out with something fairly much like this. And as you can see, it's a simple accelerator, brake and clutch layout there. So now as far as the accelerator goes, the accelerator works exactly the same way as an accelerator works in a real car. You push it down, and the more you push it down, the more acceleration that you get. And the same is true for the brake. The further you push it down, sorry, it's actually moving away from you there, but the further you push it down, the more brake you get. Now, that's absolutely fine for the accelerator. It's also reasonable for the clutch. However, it's not quite right for the brake, because of course a brake in a real life car doesn't work really like that. The way it works is that you push it down about that far, and that's all it takes for the pads to make contact with the disc. And from that point onwards, it's about the amount of pressure that you put on the brakes rather than the actual distance traveled. So it's not quite realistic, and that's what this mod hopes to eliminate. It gives you a little bit better feel.
Alright, so having had a look at that and just having a little bit of an idea of how a basic set of pedals work like that, I've gone out and done, with my current set of pedals, I've gone out and done 10 laps around Monza in the Porsche GTE car on iRacing. And I did it just with the baseline setup. All I was really trying to do is see what kind of speed and consistency I was able to get, really just kind of focusing on that with my current setup. And these are the laps that I actually got here, you can see here. And as you can see, there are a few consistent ones in there. So your first lap was a bit dodgy, but the second, third, and fourth lap's quite consistent. Then fell away on the fifth lap, and then a couple of quicker ones. Then my fastest one, which was way quicker than anything else, and then a couple of bad ones, and so on. And it's all screams inconsistency, really. And I can tell you that the reason behind all the little bad laps that you see there were all issues under the brakes. And I deliberately chose Monza as the track to test this out on because of exactly that, because of the heavy braking points and how critical the brakes are to absolute lap time. So I will tell you as well, I did that later on a Friday night. I had been at work all day, I was tired, etc, etc. So you've got to kind of factor that kind of thing in as well. But all of the mistakes that I made were under brakes. And just to give you a bit of an idea of those 10 laps, my average lap, as you can see, 150.1146, and between my best lap and my slowest lap, you're looking at over 2 seconds, because I've obviously made a mistake on that style lap, ended up running across the chicane and so on. And most of my other mistakes began in the braking zone and kind of followed on through the chicane. of which there are 3 at Monza, as you probably know. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go away and I'm going to modify my pedals, because what I've done is I've actually gone out and bought a load cell modification suggested to me by a friend for the brake. And this is supposed to actually mimic the feel of a real brake pedal. So I really want to get in there, put all this together, go out there, have a go, and really kind of compare it to the laps that I've done already, and see what kind of measurable benefit there is there from it. Now, the kit that I actually bought was from a company called Ricmatech, which is in the States, and it's basically just a load cell modification for the brake pedal on the G27 pedals. Cost me about $200 Australian to get into the country, and I know that for not too much more you can go out and buy a set of pedals that are already come with the load cell brake, but I didn't want to have to go out and buy a whole new wheel and pedals. And you know what it's like, you go on the internet, try to find out, is this compatible with a G27? Some say yes, some say they can't get it to work. You finally buy something, you come in, you can't get it to work, and before long you've had to go buy a new wheel and all the rest of it, and you're in it for $1,000. So I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to do something which I knew was going to work, and if I had a good result with it, then when it does come time for a wheel pedals upgrade, I know the type of thing I'm going to be looking for. So hopefully I can save you guys all of that bollocks and can just give you a straight answer on whether or not these load cell brake pedals actually help with the speed, consistency, or what kind of benefit they give you. So I'm going to go away now, do the install. I don't need to probably show you the entire thing. Ricmatech do a really good video on how to install this if you happen to go with this particular product, and I don't think I can probably improve on that. So I'm going to go away now, I'm going to do that install, come back, run a few laps in the GTE again, and see what kind of comparison I can get. So I'll be back soon. Alright, so I also thought I'd better show you guys the kit I get too, the kit that you get when you order these through. That's Ricmatech there. Send it through in the States. It's a brake load cell conversion for the G25, G27, G29 and G920 Logitech wheels. So that's it there, and really what you get in there is the load cell, the new spring, a couple of zip ties, and the little circuit board you need to make it work. So it's a fairly simple install. So just going to go ahead and throw all this stuff into the pedals now and see what kind of changes it actually makes. Alright guys, so install complete. Reasonably simple install, but I will admit I have lost some blood. Yes, but yeah, that's just pretty well par for the course for me anyway. So just wanted to give you an idea of how this brake pedal sits now. As you can see, it just goes down about that far and stops, which is what you want. As far as the actual feeling of a brake pad hitting a disc, which is what you'll actually want. And the other point to note is that I have done what the manufacturer actually recommends. I've swapped over the old brake spring into the clutch and the old clutch spring into the accelerator to make them a little bit more, just give them a little bit more stiffness and make them feel a little bit more robust as well. That's something they recommend to do. So I've done that quick swap as well. So now we'll hook it all back up and see how we get on. Alright guys, so I've just headed out for another 10 lap stint in the Porsche GTE at Monza with the load cell in the pedals. Now it took me a few laps to get used to. It took me a few laps, probably about 3 or 4, just to get used to the new feeling of the brake pedal. Had to tweak a couple of settings within iRacing as well, just to actually get it feeling exactly the way I liked it. But in any event, was able to go out there and this is the result. And as you can see, there's quite a significant difference there in lap time. On average, 1 second per lap faster, averages out to 10 seconds faster over that 10 lap stint, so 10 seconds further up the road over a 10 lap racing stint. And also you can see that the difference between the best lap and the longest lap still around about 2 seconds. I still did make a couple of mistakes. In fact, it really didn't help the consistency that much. It's just that I was doing everything faster and I was quicker. So from my point of view, the answer is yes. A load cell pedal can definitely give you a pace advantage over a normal potentiometer pedal that you would find on a G27 or something of a similar sort of price range. And I will just put in a quick disclaimer that I have spoken to a couple of people who've done the same sort of upgrade. They've upgraded to load cell brake pedal, and they haven't found any benefit at all in terms of lap time. But for myself, somebody who has always struggled with that braking feel, it's obviously made a positive difference to me. So I guess it really comes down to whether or not you're comfortable and confident under brakes at the moment in your driving. But if you are having some problems, if you are finding that you're just struggling a little bit with just getting that predictability and so on under the braking, or you can't get the braking feel, this is a upgrade well worth doing, I'm pleased to say. So I can't actually wait to get out there and do some races with it. It should be really great fun. So another thing that I will mention as well, if you're like me and you haven't actually got a seat with a frame and everything like that to mount your steering wheel and pedals to, you can, it is possible, because I mean, I'm just playing on a normal sort of office chair, without wheels obviously, but an office chair, and if I brake hard enough, because my pedals are up against the wall, if I brake hard enough, it can actually push my chair backwards a little bit, but luckily you are able to set it up so you reach peak, like full braking force before that actually happens. So that's just something to be aware of. The next upgrade I'm going to be doing is going to be to actually get a proper frame with a seat and everything else to mount to it, which means, well, hopefully there's going to be a little bit of lap time in that as well. When I get that, I'll do another video just with a bit of comparison, probably with the same car on the same track, just to see if there's any kind of performance gain to be made from that. So that's my verdict, I suppose. It's saved me around about 1 second per lap. So there you have it. Until next time, thanks very much. If you guys have had any kind of different experiences, or if you've got any information or opinion or anything like that that you think somebody may find useful, somebody who's asking the questions whether to do that upgrade or not, please comment below. And obviously, if you do want to see more videos, hit that subscribe. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time.